It's time for another carrier product update. Tune in as we talk directly to the carriers about their new plans, any new network options they have, or which plan designs offer the most savings, and learn about the tools and resources they offer to help you generate more business. Visit our website to learn about all of the carriers we quote in our Carrier Product Update series. I'm Jason Powers, and I'm joined today by Alex Adams, the new business manager at Cigna. Welcome to our Carrier Product Update. This is a special edition. It's our Q4 Kickoff Summit. We're all ready for January 1 renewals, so we can get on to spring. Alex, you're no stranger to our Carrier Product Update. We were just talking before the show that the last time you were on, I think, was 2 years ago during COVID. So we were virtual. So it's great to have you here in our studio.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I'm super happy to be here. Being in person is always, so nice to get the face-to-face interaction. So happy to come meet with you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. Cigna's a really important partner of ours. Obviously, Cigna is in a different space than many of the carriers we might have here today, and there may be brokers out there that are wondering, where does Cigna fit in their portfolio? So I'm glad to have you here to help kind of break that down for those brokers out in the market. So we'll get right into it. What is going on with Cigna in Q4? We talked pre-show about some of the exciting things, but I'm really interested to hear some of the risk mitigation stuff that you've got going later in the slides. So what's new with Cigna? What's going on?
Yeah, so just diving headfirst into fourth quarter right now, and I think one of the biggest things I think to keep in mind or to think about whenever you're looking for a quote from Cigna is truly the flexibility that we have in terms of plan design, broker incentives, so spot bonuses, customized bonus programs. And I would also say our customer service experience. So, we treat a 25 life client just the same as we do a 500 life client. And I think that's really valuable and important, and kind of differentiates us in the marketplace. As I know, there's some other carriers who do have maybe like cutout plan designs that are, there for the under 50 clients or those smaller size. And we have the flexibility to customize plan designs and benefits, and even just in terms of incentives on what we can offer. We can look at admin fee credits, wellness funds, tech credits, second year rate caps to give some of that comfort for that first year renewal. So many different things. I won't go on too long of a spiel, but just I think hitting on the fact that Cigna wants to make a customized solution for each client that we get in the door.
That's great. It's a carrier model, but it really is a custom model, and that comes through, I think, in everything that you do, from plan design down to, like you mentioned, with the incentives. What is are there things that we want to cover here for fourth quarter, getting brokers kind of geared up to go out and they've got a Cigna proposal? What are the things that they should be looking for?
Yeah, definitely. So I handle 25 enrolled employees up to 500 eligible.
Wow.
And so
it's a big space.
It is. The volume's getting up there, but it's a good thing. And anything under 50, we will always quote level funding, or even graded funding, which is a more traditional self-funded product. But level funding, I think a lot of the producers out there are pretty familiar with it. But I do want to just kind of reiterate, with Cigna's level funding, as you know, Jason, our reporting and transparency is super robust, very detailed, provide a lot more detail, I would say, than what I've seen on some other reports. So I think that's something really important to keep in mind for those smaller clients, but also for those larger. So we write level funding on 400, 500, 600 life clients as well.
Wow, that's a different space. You typically would see those in maybe a graded funded or even fully insured product, but that's a different space to see going in level funded, in the direction of level funded. But I guess if they're coming off of fully insured, that might be a good transition if they've not really had an opportunity to take advantage of a program like yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something else to kind of hit on is just our variety of funding arrangements. Kind of going back to the customizable and flexibility that we have to offer is, we even have a dividend eligible fully insured product now that we can quote down to 50 lives. And, a key differentiator there is we provide paid monthly reporting, which I know we've all been waiting for, a fully insured product that will provide reporting.
Yeah.
And so that's another, I would say, key differentiator. And one of the other things I'm going to hit on throughout these slides later on is wellness. I know that's becoming more and more of a priority of groups. I would say just within the last couple of years, it seems like, with attracting talent and providing their employees with not only incentive programs to stay engaged with their health, get their preventative visits done, and so forth, but also to get their population healthier and try to help those claims, trend in a better direction than maybe they have in the past.
That's good. That's good. So what specifically on the group medical side, what are we seeing? What are we seeing for? I think you've got some incentive programs for the group or for the agent, and then there's also incentives on the group side. What's brokers love bonuses.
Yes, let's talk money.
and as a G, I'll say as a GA contracted GA with Cigna, we don't have any impact on those are fully paid to the producers that are out there writing these cases. So there definitely is an incentive model built to work their Cigna business and really receive all of that, all that incentive model. So what is the broker bonus for Cigna's medical product? What does it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So our national incentive program is called Cigna's Platinum Producer Incentive Program. And to qualify for that is you need 3 new sales with us, 3 new groups, and 250 net new enrolled employees.
Okay.
So let's say you have you move 100 life group to us, and then 275 life groups with us, then you're qualified. And it kind of goes over the metrics on the slides on kind of what you can earn on a per employee basis. But the neat thing is, and kind of going back to the flexibility aspect, is we can offer what we call local incentive programs on top of this. So we really have a lot of creativity, I guess, in terms of what we can offer our producers and, in regard to incentives, bonus programs, and so forth. So, again, this one is our national producer incentive program, and we have a lot of producers who end up kind of double dipping. So they'll get this national bonus program, but then they'll also get a kind of customized local program that we may have created specifically for them. So they kind of get hit from 2 different angles, and just kind of doubles the earnings there. And so I think that's something to really hit on, and just of course individual spot bonuses for cases as well.
Sure, we've really over the years enjoyed being able to build programs like that with Cigna. Specifically, if we're talking to an agent that is looking to, transition a block of business from a carrier, incentivizing that broker to get that business moved over to Cigna. But it's not all about new business. You've got retention bonuses as well, right? That's
yes.
Part of it.
Yes. So there's the retention side as well, which as I know, Jason, is very important too in the relationship between carriers and producers and broker agencies, and so. We do also offer that retention bonus as well, and as you can kind of see on the slide, it lists out the different metrics that you have to hit. So 84% is what we require to be qualified for the under 500 segment. But if you keep building that retention and keep doing that 3 cases, 250 employees every year, you'll just continue qualifying for it year after year.
Yeah, that's great. Now talk to me about networks. I think one of the things that we've seen in the quotes that we've received, not only are we seeing Cigna OAP, but you've got more of an EPO product, if you will, with Cigna Local Plus.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And Local Plus, I would say, has really grown, or I've seen a lot more interest over the last several months. We rolled it out first 4/1 of last year, and it's kind of an evolved version of what we called our SureFit network. And so there's Local Plus markets all over the country. Specific to Kansas City, Local Plus includes North Kansas City Hospital, HCA, and then Children's Mercy.
Okay.
So, for example, like maybe a group has employees in Kansas City, California, and in Texas. Well, as long as those employees fall within a Local Plus zip code, they're able to enroll in that plan. And so it's really a great solution for groups who even have employees, scattered out all over the United States, or just concentrated here, locally in Kansas City.
And you hit on it. It's in any market. So I know we've got brokers in the St. Louis market, down in Texas, Colorado, down into Florida. They're able to tap into that Cigna Local Plus in each one of those markets. So if they've got groups, or they've got maybe a group located in Kansas City, but they also have a location in St. Louis, we can offer that side by side with those St. Louis employees.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we would always pair this alongside our open access network, which is our broadest nationwide network. Just because there will be some employees, usually always, who maybe their provider currently doesn't fall within Local Plus. But some of the really great benefits of Local Plus is, once again, hitting on flexible. But some of the key features is, no PCP referral or specialist referral is required, although we encourage. Away from home care coverage, this is really neat because, if you think about those people who may have a son or daughter away in college in another area, maybe you have a daughter who goes to school in Michigan where we don't have Local Plus. Well, they'll have access to our broad network while they're there. So for anyone temporarily traveling, or maybe you travel for business and you need to seek care while you're in an area without Local Plus, you will still be covered in network with our broad OAP network. So it's kind of that safety net, if you will.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And you mentioned all the different funding options. So I know we primarily work in the level funded space. Is I would say most of the agents that we talk to are most comfortable in that level funded space. But you've got if agents haven't ever seen your graded funded product, it certainly fits in some of the larger, I'd say 60, maybe 70 enrolled plus is where we see that most competitive. But it's a great option in that space. And then you also obviously the fully insured. What are you seeing? I often get asked well, can you quote it all three ways?
Right.
Are you seeing that on your side?
Yeah, we are seeing that quite a bit where, we'll be asked for a hybrid or level funded quote and a fully insured. And I think we're getting more flexible or comfortable with providing two different options together. We ideally like to kind of stick with a strategy, but, we know it's just becoming the new norm.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of have a rule of thumb, fully insured will be a couple points, typically less than level funding. But we also try to keep that pretty in line because we see the benefits of level funding and we really want to push our clients that way. But again, kind of going back to what you were saying, Jason, we do have many options, really even outside of just this, if you want to get into minimum premium and all of that jazz. But really there's a solution that's, going to fit any and every single client.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not a one size fits all approach with Cigna. It really depends on the type of client you're talking about, where they're located, what their demographics are, what kind of employees, are they all localized, are they remote? There's a lot of opportunity, I think, to customize a solution using Cigna as the platform across the board.
Right.
You mentioned wellness incentives, and I know when we've built out maybe a level funded or a graded funded strategy, we can put wellness on the table. So talk us through what. And again, I know it's custom, so it's hard to say, well, this is the box that you fit in. But
Right.
but what are you seeing from a wellness engagement perspective in the group market with Cigna?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an assigned health engagement consultant for every client of ours, whether they are 500 or 50. So I think that's something key because they're able to work with both you or the agent and the group on, finding a solution that fits them. Some things that we're able to do and what we actually, I would say, offer pretty frequently is wellness funds. And, we provide examples on what that can be used for, or maybe what we've seen some of our current clients use that for. But it's certainly not limited to, just what's on this flyer.
Right.
How it would work is the client would submit a request to us and we would approve, and then we would reimburse them pulling from that wellness fund. And I mean, from dollar amounts, I've seen anywhere from $2,000 to $25,000. So we can get pretty creative with it.
Wow. Yeah, and that's why it's hard to explain that to agents, and they don't. I think the key for producers, you don't have to come up with the wellness program, because the engagement, the health engagement coordinator at Cigna is going to have some ideas and really give you food for thought on how to build that out for the client. Because let's face it, maybe there are some brokers out there with some creativity, but I think for the most part, we talk about health insurance plans, we talk about deductibles, we talk about risk strategy, but we don't. The wellness side of it, if it's canned, well, that's what it is. But with a custom design, I think it opens people's aperture to being able to bring in massage chairs once a month, during maybe a busier season for an employer. There's a lot of different ways to use those funds to target the actual wellness incentives that the employer is going after. So I like that about your program.
Right, and the other thing I would hit on is that with our wellness, we have an automated incentive program that we can offer, but we could also work with the employer to just create one that, kind of fits in their agenda or in their schedule. So where we can provide even monthly reports, but it's not necessarily on our automated incentive platform. And we even have a program we rolled out called Healthy Rate to really tie that participation to potential savings off of that second year renewal. So now we're trying to really, kind of put our money where our mouth is and show that, we really do believe that more engagement and wellness leads to better claims down the road.
Yeah, and it's not always just about lifting weights or going in to get your steps in, right? There's also the emotional and the mental wellness. We just came off of this summer had our mental wellness expo, and you've got Prevail and Happify. Talk us through what those two programs look like.
Absolutely. So for every client under 500, this emotional well-being program will come built in, and so that's something, I would say that kind of differentiates Cigna, because this does come with, some different programs like Prevail and Happify, where it's kind of like self-directed programs to help reduce stress, kind of, get your mind off of the day-to-day stress or stressors that you may be dealing with. But it's just available right there on your My Cigna app, so it's really, just convenient to pick up your phone and maybe try to steer towards one of these programs versus social media, taking a little break. And then I would say the even bigger aspect of our emotional well-being program is the 3 face-to-face visits that come included with an EAP provider, live chat, unlimited telephone counseling, and then even just access to legal, financial, even identity theft resources. You know, I met with a broker, this was a couple of months ago, and they had mentioned that, you know, their client in previous years was talking about looking at an, you know, standalone EAP policy, and they moved them to Cigna and realized they got the feedback, we don't even need a standalone EAP because this feels, you know, just like it, and our employees are getting great utilization from it. So I'd say that's some pretty good feedback.
I have to applaud Cigna and really, you know, the industry in and of itself, I think, for stepping up and bridging that gap for a lot of people out there, because it's like wandering around in a forest if you don't know where you're going. And to have those kind of support tools available inside a health plan is really, I think it's a good first step. And I think like I said, I applaud Cigna for it. So moving on to, I think, really just talking about overall with the health plan, what does it look like to move to Cigna, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that's, you know, usually I would say, I guess 9 times out of 10, an employer doesn't want to move their coverage, you know, with the fear of disruption, just the extra legwork, the extra, you know, just kind of intensity and even stress that you may hear back from employees too, and fear of, oh my gosh, is my drug not going to be covered, or is my doctor not going to be in network? And just adding more to, you know, HR's plate. You know, I know HR is already busy enough these days, and so we try to really provide as much resources and support as possible to make it super seamless and smooth for that transition. Part of how we do that is we provide an implementation manager to kind of lead that process. And what we'll do is we'll host a welcome call, and it kind of gives the you know, team over at the client to meet our team, meet, you know, their client manager, meet me, our implementation manager, billing analyst, you know, really everyone assigned to them, and walk through timelines, you know, what banking is going to look like, just kind of the overall picture. And, you know, these calls are scheduled for an hour, and usually they end up being like an hour and a half, just because we get great questions. We really see a lot of value from it. So I think that just gives a lot of comfort, knowing that, you know, right off the bat, you have this whole army, this whole Cigna army to support you. And one of the other big things I want to point out is our 24/7 pre-enrollment line that we provide. And I think Cigna is the only carrier that provides that today.
I can echo that. I don't think there's any other pre-enrollment guidance out there.
Yeah, and you know, that again just kind of takes some weight off of HR's shoulders, because they're not having to have every single employee come screaming, you know, again, about providers being in network, or, you know, I'm trying to decide what plan to choose.
Yep.
They can actually call into Cigna, and they can get kind of some guidance on maybe what plan would be best fit for them. It could be more generic about providers, or, you know, if a drug is covered on the formulary we're quoting. So really a variety of questions we can help with, but I think that's something that I would really drive home, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback on it.
It helps the brokers too, right?
Yeah.
There's only so much that they can take on their plate during this busy time of year. So it's a great support tool for sure. You mentioned identity theft as part of, is that kind of tied to sort of what you're doing there with the EAP? Is this an add-on? Is this included in whether it's fully insured, graded funded, or level funded? What's that look like?
Yeah, so Identity Force is what we rolled out, I believe it was 1/1/22, so this past January.
Yeah.
And it is baked in to every single client under 500, you know, from then and going forward. And, you know, we've we've really seen this as another kind of differentiator, something different that we're pushing out to the market and for producers or agents to show their clients, hey, you may be seeking to find an identity theft solution from a third party vendor or, even Identity Force on its own, which I think has a market value of around $19 PEPM.
Wow.
So, again, another baked-in solution that we're trying to offer employees and just add another branch, to support kind of an issue that we're running into. It's always been around identity theft, but, of course, I think over the last few years, it's increasingly got a little bit worse, and I think having this as another solution that you can tell your client, hey, this comes with your health plan. You don't have to worry about seeking this outside of that. It's just really imperative.
Well, and in particular, if there are employers out there who have already purchased a separate identity theft plan for their employees, to be able to kind of, just package that in with the group medical, for sure that eliminates an added cost.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, a $19 PEPM value is pretty substantial as you kind of move into some of those larger groups. So yeah. It's a nice little built-in value add.
Yeah. You mentioned something pre-show that we'll pull up here that I thought was really intriguing. This is sort of that targeted risk management, and there's so much more we could talk about with Cigna. I think we almost have to have a two-part series to cover all the things that we can do inside Cigna's program. But this one was really intriguing to me. Talk to us about this, the promise of gene therapy. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something else too. I think that may be different on how Cigna's driving to find some different solutions in the market that really stands out and makes you think, oh gosh, not many other carriers or providers, offer this. This is really specific to Cigna as of right now. But gene therapy in itself is becoming, more and more common. And we're seeing more gene therapy drugs, come off the market too, and, continuing to see more get approved by the FDA as well. So currently, we have 2 FDA-approved drugs, Luxturna and Zolgensma. Luxturna is for childhood blindness, and Zolgensma is for spinal muscular atrophy. But as you can see, I mean, these are huge dollar amounts that you think about, like a 50 life group,
right,
that would just totally tank them. I mean, that would be, 1, not covered by many carriers, but 2, their claims experience would be, out the roof. And so what Embark does, we came out with a program that really shields the group from these gene therapy costs. Again, these 2 drugs are what we have approved so far, but I know we're working to have one have final approval here really soon. And so again, it's covered. We have a 99 cents charge per member per month that we bake in on kind of the back end or the internally.
Sure.
And that way, which we have run into one of these gene therapy drugs, 1, it's covered, but 2, it doesn't affect their claims experience.
Wow. So that's proactive risk targeting, where you're going and saying, we want to. I kind of liken this to, I feel like it's probably been more than 10 years ago, but what we saw come out of the self-funded space, and that's where Cigna lives primarily, in that level funded, grade funded, in the self-funded space, is transplant coverage, right? So there was a different transplant network. This is targeted risk management for specific indicators that are, they would absolutely destroy a group's claims experience with just one diagnosis. So it's innovative on the risk management side, and again, we could go. I think we had 10 or 15 more slides. There's so much going on with Cigna. I think the highlights here though are that there's flexibility in the plan design, there's flexibility in the funding arrangements, and certainly flexibility in the network, and couple that with a company that's managing the risk a little bit differently and providing reporting packages that are robust, makes Cigna, head and shoulders on that field, being a primary player in the market. So, any last parting words for agents as they head into the busy Q4 that we're all just anxious to get into, if we haven't already started?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was really happy to be here and talk about Cigna. And as Jason mentioned, there's so many more things I could talk about. And, I think some of the key things to just keep in mind is just all of the value that's built in, that you can share with your clients and prospects that, we're not nickeling and diming you for. It's a baked in solution, and, we're continuing to evolve and innovate and, continuing to come up with more creative solutions.
Well, Alex, it's always a pleasure to have you come and join us for our Carrier Product Update series. And brokers, if you've got additional questions for Alex, she's going to be over in our virtual carrier booth here at the end. So please stick around for that. Until then, have a great Q4. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching this edition of our Carrier Product Update series. Visit our website to watch other episodes.